Consider supporting Sonicguru Productions on Patreon for just $1 a month. Link below in the description. We're late on this one, but the new one was just basically recent. Originally got a lot of on-set photographs of what's going on. We see Robotnik flying in the air, bald, black suit though, not red. So we're disappointed on that one. He has to have a red suit.
Yeah,
but a red suit.
Yeah, again, we'll get there. We'll have to wait and see.
And not to mention, now we actually have. I see this a lot when it comes to like CGI stuff in movies. You have to have a stand-in, and we actually have a Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles stand-in models.
That was the big thing. Yeah.
And yeah, Knuckles is the odd one for me because it's like, I kind of expected it, but at the same time, I didn't really want him in the movie.
I mean, we did say like they're possibly going to bring the echidnas into this, and obviously, if you're going to do that, you're going to have Knuckles in there.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure whether or not he's going to be the last echidna, or because there's probably a time difference. Because apparently, one of the echidnas in the first movie was Bahakamak.
Yeah, that was apparently Tyson Hess actually said that. I think is it the one that shoots the arrow into Longclaw? I think that's what he said.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right, I'm saying because apparently the artist said no, that's canon in the movie.
Sorry, Bahakamak. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, and looking at the freaking model, like honestly, that's about the best Knuckles I probably will ever get.
In a weird way, he kind of looks like it's all like a weird. It's sort of weirdly enough, he reminds me of Boom Knuckles, but of course, it's like his body is more in proportion with his head.
Yeah, it's like an in between.
Like
it's not the typical Mobian body, bean-shaped body, but it's not the triangle buff one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of a half and a half. Although I have heard a lot of people saying
it showcases that he. Sorry.
Go on. I was going to say, I mean, there was also a lot of people saying, well, Sonic looks good, the Knuckles does, but what's up with the Tails, stand-in? Looks a bit weird with the tiny eyes. It's like, look, we know that's not going to be that's not the finished look.
We've seen what Tails looks like.
Yeah, it's the stand-in. That's it.
Yeah. I wonder how much these will go for if someone actually steals them from set.
Oh God, I do not want Sonic fans try to break into people's properties and get that shit. Please, let's not do that.
I would say as well that Knuckles' model looks like it showcases that he's a strong character as well. That Tails kid like Sonic more athletic and Knuckles definitely buff. I just want to know what the fuck happened to the city. It's like, okay, what did they do? What did Robotnik do?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because one of the news that came out of this is that apparently the film location they had for Green Hills in the first movie wasn't used for this, although they have returned, it's going to be in the second movie, but they've gone somewhere else for it, and presumably it's a different area we haven't seen before. So most of this came from that, and I'm guessing from what we've seen from all the photos and whatever.
I think it was Vancouver, wasn't it?
It is in Vancouver. It's a different little town. They used a different town. That's skipping my memory at the minute. But yeah, they used a different town for Green Hills this time. And from what we keep seeing of all the stuff here it's presumably the stuff we've seen is probably going to be the climax of the film. So suppose
you get a big heavy stuff out the way before you do the actual second unit.
Aye. Because apparently they finished in there. Now they're apparently moving to Hawaii, which is the other part of the film they're going to do. Whether, what that's going to end up being, we'll have to wait and see.
What it's going to be is actually we have a bit of a leak of the plot. Should we talk about this?
We can talk about it here now because it could, again, it's a rumored leak, so we don't know whether it's true or not, but go ahead.
Yeah. So this is word for word what the plot summary will be. Basically, it doesn't really ruin the movie per se because you don't know how things are going to play out.
Aye.
So there we go. After settling in Green Hills, Sonic is ready for more freedom, and Tom and Maddie agree to leave him alone while they go on vacation. But no sooner when they're gone, Dr. Robotnik comes back, this time with a new partner, Knuckles, in search for an emerald that has the power to both build and destroy civilizations. Sonic teams up with his own sidekick, Tails, and together they embark on a journey to find the emerald before it falls in the wrong hands. Directed and starring.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say one thing as well. And probably the reason why Knuckles is in this and partnered with Robotnik at the same time Sonic teams up with Tails. Sonic 2 doesn't have much of a story.
No, I mean, from the sound of it, it sounds like they're using the very base element of 2 and 3's narrative, basically, i.e.,
Yeah,
Sonic teams up with a new partner, and there's a new semi-rival who's stripped by the main villain.
yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the game, not the movie,
Yeah.
uh, has what I would call a framework. I
Mm,
mean, there is a plot in the manuals, and that kind of explains why Tails is there. But when it
mm,
comes to actually playing the game itself, there's nothing really visually or even spoken in dialogue what's going on. At least in Sonic 3, everything is visual. Like you go into the island and Knuckles emeralds. Then he sends you each zone sends you to a new zone because
mm,
Knuckles does it or Eggman does it or Sonic does it.
yeah.
And someone pointed out on Twitter as well, it's like when you get to Lava Reef and Hidden Palace, you get closer, the death egg gets closer and closer. You can see it rotate in the
Yeah,
background.
it's further, you get nearer and nearer to the backdrop to give you the idea this is where you're heading to.
Yeah, there was a lot more visual storytelling in Sonic 3 compared
Mm,
to Sonic 1 and 2.
mm.
So that's probably the reason why they're including more elements of Sonic 3 in this. And yes, I think they heard me because I fucking called this. There should be only one emerald. One emerald.
Again, that's the interesting thing, saying that there's supposedly that Robotnik and Knuckles are on search for an emerald. So presumably, is this meant to be just, well, it's not going to be the Master Emerald, is it? It's going to be just a regular emerald
It'll be no
if
more
they're
than
going.
palm shape because I've got a freaking paperweight in the shape of a brilliant cut emerald.
Yes, you have. Yes,
So I think it's no bigger than that.
it would be something like that. Yeah. Um, Again, it's interesting. I mean, the one thing I'm still a little bit curious about this is the saying that, oh, supposedly that Sonic's going to be left alone at home while Tom go on a holiday in Hawaii for whatever reason. I'm just thinking like that. I'm not sure about that because on one hand, that sounds like they're trying to get them out of the film for a lot of it, which is kind of odd because you would have thought like, well, but they want them more in the film, considering that the last movie was the relationship between Sonic and Tom. So arguably, wouldn't the second movie be, him and Sonic and Tails going out together on this adventure type deal?
Yeah, but you would have kind of draw away because people would be expecting more Sonic and Tails since it is a Sonic movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's
It'll
still
be,
there.
it's
I
like,
mean, like I said, he's
what,
still.
I'm trying to think of a film where the main character was kind of pushed to the side and focus of the different, focus on the non-human characters. And I think it was, I keep thinking Short Circuit for some fucking reason.
Ugh.
Because I had one main character from the first film. So it had
Well, it's just like a two. They brought back the
it had the Indian guy, but wasn't really Indian.
yes,
But it had a different other male human character, and it focused on Johnny Five.
yeah.
I keep thinking that for some fucking reason.
Well, it's not a bad example.
Yeah, so I can see why they're going to focus more on Sonic, and especially the development between Sonic and Tails rather than um, Tom and Maddie.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying this in terms of, they're still going to be in the film, and from what we've seen as well, they were on footage. There were people of them supposed to be getting out of a helicopter. Again, supposedly the stuff we saw that's been filmed is probably the climax of the film. Although, again, I still kind of feel, again, it's like for me, what I liked about the first movie was the surprising relationship between Sonic and Tom, is that there was this kind of nice back and forth with them. And yeah, I like to see him at least go on if they're going to go to Mobius in this film, which again, we haven't got a clue how much of it's going to be in here or not. So fingers crossed. But I like the idea of if they have to go there, Tom's has to go with Sonic and Tails and go on crazy adventures, whatever crazy stuff they end up facing off in his reality.
If they do end up making a Sonic 3, though, I don't think Tom's going to be in it.
Well, like I said, it will depend how this one works out if he wants to stick around or
Yeah.
not.
The only thing I
Um,
don't want them to do in this film, and if you're listening, Jeff, don't do a meanwhile in Hawaii.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Don't
That's
do
the
that.
thing.
Don't do.
That's
Oh, here's the action with Sonic and Tails and fighting Robotnik and Knuckles, and here's Tom and Maddie trying to get back to fucking Green Hills.
well, that's
Don't
what I
do
mean.
that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like from what we heard of this supposedly prep summary of the film. It's like I don't. That doesn't sound right. It's like I think they want to integrate them more into the plot, able to, we can still have the back and forth, but the main focus is going to be on the adventure with Sonic and Tails and whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
So hopefully, when does this come out again? Next year.
yeah, next year apparently in April.
So we got quite a ways away to go, and hopefully we'll get the trailer in November like we normally do.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, while we're here, I've got this thing to point out. So one thing that happened in the meantime, there was a podcast interview with the two of the writers, Patrick Casey and Joss Miller, who went on about how one of the few things about the development of both the first movie and the second. So just make this brief. So interesting enough, so apparently they were involved with this right back when the movie was still with Sony. At one point, apparently one of them just saw a poster in the office and just said, "Oh, it's Sonic." It's like, "Oh, you want to write it? Do you have an idea?" It's like, "Yeah, totally." Then he called his partner saying, "Dude, we need to come up with something right now." So that's apparently how they got the gig. And then when Jeff came in and Tim, the producer, to work on the film, they said, "Okay, our pitch is basically it's not a human discovers Sonic. It's Sonic comes to our world and befriends a human. That's the sort of focus." And the couple of things they changed around. One of the things they mentioned is apparently when they were coming up with the film, like they weren't sure how much reference they were going to put into it. So, for instance, they more or less said, unless we remember it, it's probably not going to. If we don't remember a certain thing, it's probably not going to end up in the film. Although apparently, when they were paraphrasing here, but apparently when they were doing in their downtime because they were working on another project, they both quickly head off and actually replayed like Sonic 1, 2 and Generations just to get the basis of, okay, what bits could be cherry pick or whatever. Because they thought Sega was going to give them a whole bunch of, oh, we'll have plenty of time. But no, they had to rush it because the production was going quickly. So they just had to come up very quickly with stuff.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, and this relates back to movie two, is apparently when they first wrote the first movie, they were going to have much more of, both Earth and Mobius. In fact, at one point, Tails was going to be in the film as well. So we're going to do a back and forth of that, but they realized it would have been too expensive to do, so they've scaled it back. But now they apparently said for this one, they want to definitely make it bigger. Like we've seen, Shosh mentioned that we've also seen the GUN logo has been plastered everywhere, so that's
Oh
going to
yeah,
be
completely forgot about that. The Geo wins
yeah,
in
apparently
this.
Gun is in this movie, in the movie Sonicverse. So how they come about, why they're here, we'll again have to find out soon. But they have mentioned that they want to make this movie bigger without it necessarily being over budget, because apparently one of them mentioned that the thing is, in comparison to say Detective Pikachu, which was way more expensive, it's like yeah, that was a more expensive and you could argue a better film for whatever reason. But he did say the thing was that it was successful, but it wasn't that successful. It didn't really rake in enough money for its budget, so that's why we haven't had a sequel. Whereas this, depending on how you view it, is apparently the Sonic movie was not as expensive as people thought it was, but it took in a lot more money. So now they're able to sort of go ape shit with a lot more crazy stuff, apparently.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I do want to mention that, but two funny things about this was apparently one was when they were thinking of references, because movie two, as we've seen, there's loads of like Easter eggs and gags to put in there, like mean bean coffees plastered in place or whatever. Initially, they weren't sure they were going to get them in because they were kind of unsure about like what things they could and can't use, and also like could we take things from the comics or the cartoons? And it's like, well, license and all that stuff. But who knows? Maybe they're just going to go crazy with this. But also, they had this idea that the scene where Sonic is watching them watch Speed, originally they wanted to do something else. Apparently, they wanted to do just a fake action movie and get Nicolas Cage to do essentially just sort of, could you just star in a cheesy fake action film for us? And that was their intention, but never got they never got far with that idea in the end. So again, we had Keanu, instead of having Keanu Reeves in the film as a cameo, we would have had Nicolas Cage doing God knows what, because Nicolas Cage is a madman, but in a good way.
Nicholas Cage does anything right now. He did fucking Willy's Wonderland.
Exactly, yeah. He basically did Friday Nights at Freddy the movie, non-official.
It wasn't bad. It was just kind of mediocre.
Yeah, but there you go, man. I mean, he's said yes to that.